I got so much to talk about. I got pages and pages of notes we're going to go through today. I've been teaching this stuff for 27 years. The reason I love teaching about money is not so much, believe it or not, because I want you to have a certain amount of money. It's not so much the money as what the money can do for you. And here's what I believe about personal finance. I believe that when you fix your finances, you free yourself to live your best life. And I believe that when you fix your finances, you free your soul to fly. Learning about money can be simple, it can be easy, it can be fun. And the most important thing, it can be actionable. Let's control the controllables. So you want to build wealth, we got to control the controllables. And I'm going to take you on the journey, a little bit, not all of it, but I'm going to take you on the journey that is inside this book, The Automatic Millionaire. I'm going to walk you through this concept of how to build wealth by paying yourself first automatically. Super simple, but life-changing. So I'm going to share the 5 questions with you because then you can ask them to yourself, and then ultimately you can ask this of other people. These are the questions that will determine if you'll build financial security. Question number 1, do you want to be rich? Yes? How many of you would just like to be out of debt? Does anybody want to admit to that? Like, I just want to be out of debt. Okay. How many of you are like, I don't need to be rich. I just want to be financially secure. You see, if you just want to be financially secure, right? So here's the question behind this question. Why do you want what you want? I learned young that for most people, money is not enough to actually motivate them to do all the work that needs to be done to become wealthy. There's all kinds of obstacles that will come in your way to building wealth. You can't get rich in days. It takes decades typically. But when you are clear on what's most important to you and it's based on your values, when you answer the question for yourself, I want to be financially secure because of, and it's a value answer. I want to protect my family. I want to pass a legacy to my children. I want to give back to my church. I want to be able to give back to my community. When you can answer the question with your core values, you will then become an unstoppable force because your values will pull you through the difficult times to achieve your goals. One of the biggest reasons people fail financially is the way they spend their money is actually in conflict with their values. When your values are clear, your financial decisions become easier. This takes me to question number 2. And question number 2 is this: do you pay yourself first? When you pay yourself first, what you show yourself every day is that you're putting yourself first. How much to pay yourself first? 1 hour a day of your income minimum. So whatever you're earning, that first hour a day from 9 to 10, that's got to come off the top and go into a retirement account. Now in the United States, that would be an IRA account, or that would be a 401k plan. If you're self-employed, it would be a SEP, self-employed retirement account. Now, again, I can't go through every single country, but like in Canada, it'd be like an RSP account. So you got to do your own research on what account it is. But the most important thing is the math. 1 hour a day of your income is 12.5% of your gross income. Now, I will tell you this, that's a minimum number that you should save. That's not a maximum number, it's a minimum number. Your goal should be minimum 1 hour a day of your income. For those of you who are self-employed, it should be minimum. Your goal should be 15% or more of your income going to you automatically for yourself. This is what's going to give you financial confidence, knowing that you're taking your income and putting it away for yourself for the future. Why don't people do this? Do you want to be rich? Do you pay yourself first? The third thing was this: do you save 1 hour a day of your income? Which takes me to question number 4. And that is, do you save money automatically. How does the average American build wealth on an ordinary income? They save money automatically. I started my career at Morgan Stanley. I was there for 9 years as a financial advisor. It used to be complicated to save money automatically. Like if you came to my office, they were called systematic investment plans, and the paperwork was like 7 pages long. But we would encourage all of our clients, anybody who came to my seminars, even if you're just saving $50 a month, we would encourage our clients to save automatically. And the reason was what we saw firsthand is that no one would save for more than 2 to 3 months unless it was automatic. People would say, oh, no, I'm super disciplined. I don't need to do it this way. People used to be afraid to have money taken from their paychecks and invested automatically. That's really not the case anymore. But people were afraid to do this movement of their money automatically. But the problem is people wouldn't save unless it was automated. So many Americans, and this is also true all over the world, so many people have built wealth because they just set something up once, forgot about it, left it alone, and next thing you know, 20 years go by, 25 years go by, 30 years go by, and they've built massive wealth because the savings was automatic. The key is automation. The key is no budget. Budgeting takes time. Budgeting creates fights. Budgeting is boring. Automation is beautiful. Which takes me to question number 5. Do you know what your latte factor is? People always say to themselves and to me, I don't have the money to save automatically. I can't do that. And so I started showing people, you know what, small amounts of money, $5 a day, $10 a day could change your life. And it can, by the way, can completely change your life. You got to start somewhere. But if you don't believe you have the money and you tell yourself that, you'll never save. So the thing about $5 a day is you start saving in your 20s, you can have $1 million by the time you reach retirement. Now, it's not enough. $5 a day now is not enough. You need to save more than that. But you need to figure out what your latte factor is. And nobody's probably going to Starbucks right now. You're making coffee at home. Oh my God, and guess what? You survived. People would say to me, I cannot give up my coffee. There's no way. And somehow we've all survived making coffee at home for a year. Some of you here have a lot more money than you actually had a year ago because you're not spending anything, right? You're not eating out. You're not going out for coffee. Our expenses have been reduced. When we start to go back to a new normal, the question becomes, do you keep some of these good habits or do you just go out and spend money again? Now, one of the reasons the market's up so much is because we're expecting everybody to rush out and spend a ton of money and everybody ready to party. I want to show you something based on this idea of partying. What do you think it costs to blow $10,000 a year? It's $27.40 a day. What it takes to blow $10,000 in a year is $27.40 a day, which is less than most people make an hour. $27.40 a day in the US, you can blow that so easily, right? It's $10,000 in a year. For many of you, that would build your emergency account. That would start your retirement account. What happens if you took that money and you invested? I know it's a lot of money, $27 a day, but what would happen? In 20 years, if you were in the S&P 500 fund and the market did what it's done the last 30 years, you'd have $572,000. What if it went out 30 years? $27.40 a day. You'd have $1,644,000 in 30 years. What if I went out 40 years? This is where the numbers go crazy. You'd have $4,424,000 potentially. By the way, did you just see that astronomical growth? Because sometimes if you don't really know compound interest, this is the miracle of compound interest. This is the part that blows the mind away. How can this go from $572,000 and in 10 years be worth 3 times more? And in 20 years be worth almost 10 times more? That's because money's making money. And that's the whole key. We're going to talk about your relationship with money. And, this obviously the theme this month is relationships. And I thought, well, look, let's talk about your relationship with money, because here's the thing, my friends. We've all got one, right? Some of us have a love relationship with money. Some of us have a hate relationship with money. Some of us have a love-hate relationship with money, and some of us have no relationship with money. Here's what I've learned having done this now for almost 30 years. We've all got a relationship with money, and some of us have that relationship consciously, but a lot of us have that relationship unconsciously. And what I mean by that unconsciously is that your relationship with money could easily be going back to when you were a child, when you were a kid, the first lesson you were maybe shared about money, not even knowing that it was being shared with you. Maybe your first financial trauma. So again, my topic today is your relationship with money. A couple quotes I want to start you with. Write this quote down. A positive mindset is a magnet for money. My second quote. You, my friends, are richer than you think. And it's funny because I was writing that quote down. I'm like, back of my book right here, the latte factor. You are richer than you think. And I don't just mean financially. I mean spiritually, emotionally, holistically. You have more strength in you than you know. I know, Brandon, we always talk about this. You're stronger than you realize. I'm going to go through today, even if you've got what I would consider a negative relationship with money today, I'm going to share with you how to improve that. So those are my two quotes. Again, we're going to go through 4 questions. And all I'm looking for right now is one word. All right. So here's my question. The first question is, what does money mean to you? So if I went to the chat right now, I would write down, in my case, my one word is freedom. What money means to me is freedom. What does it mean to look at what? Okay, we've got free, look at this blown up. Freedom, options, stability. Come on, everybody. I want to see you put in here. What's the word for you? Now, ultimately, what I'm going to want you to do is fill up an entire page with the words you can think of later. So someone just wrote peace. What else we got? I was thinking of freedom too. Yeah, it's okay. You can say freedom if that's your thing. Safeguards, fun, flexibility, escape, hope. These are all popping up in the chat session right now. Choices, security and freedom, giving. I think I told some of you in a previous thing about the idea of getting the Finish Rich workbook. And one of the first exercises in the Finish Rich workbook is on page 5, where it asks the question, money is. So I just said to you, what does money mean to you? What does money mean to you? What is money to you? What I want you to do is write down all the words that come to you. Now, later, when you've done this homework assignment, I want you to circle the word that is the most representative of what you want your future to be when it comes to money. Because if you've got a negative word, it's okay if you have a negative word. Like I put on Instagram yesterday, tell me about your relationship with money. And quite a few of you wrote some of you from GrowthDay, you wrote detailed things like positive things and negative things. If you've got a negative word right now when it comes to money, that's okay. You can have that negative word. What I'd like you to do is put a circle through it and scratch it out, and then put next to it the positive word that you want to move towards. Does this make sense? Let me see your heads go like this if this is making sense to you. Okay. So what's important to know about this word is that what money means to you will have a big impact on ultimately whether or not you make more money, grow your money, and keep your money. Question number 2, what is your first memory of money trauma? Now, why would I go there? The reason I'm going to go there right now is because in most cases, you don't get to be a grown adult without a money trauma moment, right? Like let me see you guys all for a second here. I want to go to the gallery. How many of you have experienced, I can see you all now. How many of you have experienced a money trauma in your life? Let me see a show of hands if something's happened to you where you had a money trauma. Do you see everybody raising their hands? Isn't that interesting? Like you just don't get through life without money traumas. Some of you have had, how many of you have had multiple money traumas? Yeah, I mean, look, I've done very well in my life, but I have multiple money traumas. So here's the thing. Your first money trauma can stay with you forever until you decide to change it. So, and a lot of times we don't consciously realize, again, because I talked about earlier, conscious, unconscious, we don't consciously realize that sometimes that we even had a money trauma. So I'm gonna walk you through a couple of my money traumas, because I didn't know it also until as I've gotten older and I've worked through things, I've learned, oh, that's what made me do what I've done. So, and also some of these things didn't feel like a trauma at the time. So it's really ironic, or maybe it's not, but if you go read Smart Women Finish Rich, the very beginning of this book is a story about my mom and me as a little kid. And I won't turn to, this is where the story is. It's literally the first page right there. But I'll just tell you the story because I was thinking about this today. I was having my little espresso, and I was thinking about how I was going to talk, what I was going to talk about when it came to trauma. And I was like, well, let me start where it started for me, because it started for me like at 3 years old. So at 3 years old, I grew up in a little house in Oakland, California. My mom had, I remember like this house so vividly as I tell you the story. It was such a house out of the 70s. It was like a Brady Bunch house. We had green shag carpet. Green shag carpet. You can't make that up. I think and I remember going into my parents' bedroom, and they had a waterbed. And I remember going over, my mom was in the bathroom, and where she would put her makeup on. And I'll never forget this. The song was playing, Money Makes the World Go Round. Now, some of you who are older know what song I'm talking about. Money makes the world go round, the world go round, the world go round. I can't sing it all. But I remember I heard the song playing. So I came into my mom's bedroom, and she's putting her makeup on. And I go, Mom, you're always telling me that love makes the world go round. And what makes the world go round? Is it money, or is it love? And she stopped what she was doing. She stopped putting her makeup on, and she was brushing her hair. And she looked at me and she said, David, love is what makes the world go round. But without money, you're in deep. And then I asked her, like, well, are we rich? And she didn't really, I don't even remember what the answer was to that question, because I don't think we were rich at the time. And she's like, we're comfortable or something. And then she like scooted me off to go play with my toys. And what I realized later in life is that set me up. That was my first money memory. And I think from that moment forward, my mom telling me that not having money was painful was a huge motivating factor for me wanting to figure out how to have money. And, like, it's not coincidental that I've written 13 books on personal finance. That I've dedicated my life basically to learning how to have money, how to keep money, and how to teach others how to have money. And, as I went through my life, and yes, I bought my first stock at age 7, and you've heard me talk about that, and McDonald's, and then Disney at 9. I was really, from a young age, I think, when I look back on it, really afraid of not having money. And so my original desire to build wealth was not out of what it is today, which today I said my word is freedom. My whole thing today is about living your best life now. That money is a tool to free you. That's all it is. Money is just a tool to free you to live your best life. And I want you to get free as fast as possible, because I don't want you to wait to live your best life. I mean, that's basically my entire obsession. Get there faster. Money's a tool to free you to live your best life. That's why I have you create dream accounts. And I also have you create the security accounts, but I'm focused and fixated on helping you fix your finances so you can live your best life now, not in fear. Here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to go through habits to help you be financially calm and financially productive. So as you all know, my expertise is personal finance. I like to help you get your finances right so you can live your best life. And I know that when you fix your financial habits, you fix your financial life. So here we go. Number 1, it's going to be the most annoying habit. Spend less than you earn. Nothing will create anxiety in your life like consistently spending more money than you make. Nothing. And it is the number one cause of anxiety, stress, and concern in people's lives. It is this constant treadmill of whatever you make, you spend more. Not just whatever you make, you spend, but whatever you make, you spend more. So the fastest way to have a calmer life is to spend less than you make. Now, let me just address, I know that this is not easy for everyone to do, especially now because with inflation, everything is starting to cost more. But before we talk about all the reasons why this is difficult, let's talk about the ways in which you fix these things. First way you fix making sure you spend less than you make is making sure you actually know where you're spending your money. And what you really need to be looking at is here's what happens in the real world. And I know I'm saying something I've said before on this one, but what happens in the real world is people, it's the weirdest phenomenon. People round up in their mind what they earn. If a person makes $76,780 a year, and you ask that person, like Michelle Anderson, hi, Michelle. If I said to Michelle, what do you make? Michelle says, Michelle would not typically say, I make $76,870 a year. That's not her number. I'm just throwing it out as an example. She would say, probably, not picking on you, Michelle, just using you as an example to keep you all awake here like a classroom. She'd say, I make $80,000 a year. In her mind, she would round up the number. It's the most fascinating thing because everyone does this. We round up what our earnings are. And we round down what our expenses are in our mind. And what happens often by rounding up what we earn in our mind and rounding down what we spend is there's a 10 to 20% differential. And that 10 to 20% differential is why people are constantly financially freaking out, because the math doesn't work. And the other problem is that people focus on gross earnings numbers instead of net earning numbers. Gross numbers, no matter where you live, it's the same issue. It's gross numbers are what you earn before taxes. Across the board, across the world, most of you, if you make $100,000, most of you are paying what, $30,000 in taxes? Some of you are paying $40,000 in taxes. So if you make 100, you're not making 100, you're making 60 or 65 or 70. And that's what you have to learn to live below, is the net number. That's number one. Number two habit. So number one habit, spend less than you make. Number two habit. This one, my friends, is key. This is a habit that will build you financial freedom for life. And that habit is, especially for the young people listening, save half of your pay increases. Save half of your pay increases, bonuses, and tax refunds. Now, there's a reason why I'm telling you to save half. Most financial wannabe experts will tell you to save all of it, and nobody does. There's no way you're going to save all of your pay increase or your tax refund or your bonus. Nobody does that. But if you think in your mind, I'm going to save half of it, and you start to save half of it for the rest of your life, you will never have to worry about money again for the rest of your life. It will change everything. The other thing is that right now, a lot of you who have jobs are getting pay increases. A lot of you are going to get pay increases by the end of the year going into next year. It will be the highest increase in salaries we've seen in decades. And that is because inflation is requiring businesses today to up what they pay people. And what is happening right now, and I find it fascinating because I own a couple major businesses, is that local markets now are having to compete with global markets. And what I mean by that is, if you have a business, because I have some businesses in markets that the salaries, let's just say, could be significantly less than what they might be in Manhattan, Chicago, LA, or San Francisco, right? Because if you have a business in the Midwest, as an example, the cost of living is much lower. It's why people move there. But now, because so many jobs are going virtual, people are moving to lower price markets and getting full pay. And what that's doing is requiring businesses now to retain their employees they're having to give pay increases. So you're going to see pay increases head into next year. And I'm just here to tell you that what everybody's going to want you to do is go out and spend all that money. And what I want you to do is save half of it. Save half of the increase that you get, save half of your bonuses, save half of your tax refunds. You'll be in great financial shape. And that leads me to number 3 habit. The number 3 habit is to save money automatically. Hello, you've heard me say this a million times. Save money automatically. Do not budget. If you have not yet read The Automatic Millionaire, the new edition, go get your hands on The Automatic Millionaire. If you don't know how to save money automatically, this is your Bible. You can read this book in less than 2 hours and put your financial life on autopilot in less than 60 minutes. The way people build real wealth is through the habit of saving money automatically. I love it. I see you, Chris. Chris Flotton just pulled his book off his shelf. Bravo, my friend. You got the old edition, though. You need to get the new one. I know you got the old edition, too, because it's a hardcover. I love that. Which takes me to lesson number 4. When you read the Automatic Millionaire book, or you read any of my books for that matter, but the Automatic Millionaire specifically, you learn about this concept of paying yourself first. In order for you to build real wealth wherever you live around the world, you have to make a decision to pay yourself first. That means when you earn money, and this is the gross dollars, when you earn those gross dollars, when you earn $1, the first person who gets paid is you. By paying yourself first, you then don't pay taxes on that money because you'll get a tax deduction. And you want to be saving at minimum 1 hour a day of your gross income. And that's a 12.5% number. And the number to write down to keep the math simple, your goal should be to be saving 15% of your gross income. You save 15% of your gross income from now until the rest of your life, and you'll never have financial issues. And one of the ways you can get to that 15% number is by taking the half of the pay increase that you'll get. And before you know it, you've just found the money to do the 15%. And that takes me to habit here number 5. Habit number 5 is I want you to focus on ROC. Make that capital letters. Focus on ROC. This is habit number 5. What is ROC? It is not rock, baby. It is return of capital. Now, if my buddy Brendan is listening, he's laughing because I sent him a text about this issue once, because a lot of my friends come to me with investment questions and investment ideas, and the wealthier that people get, the more complicated the investment ideas become. And often those investment ideas are not liquid. And what they lead to is loss often of all your money. Now, nobody invests with a goal of losing all their money. People invest with a goal of getting a rate of return on their money. ROI, rate of return. ROI stands for rate of return. A lot of times with investments, you'll hear about ROI, or you'll hear about IRR, internal rate of return, or you'll hear about cap rates. That's the capitalization rate, which again is about a rate of return. The number one thing I care about when I invest is, can I get my money back? It's not what's the rate of return on my money. It's, am I putting my money somewhere that I can get it back? Because there's nothing more depressing than taking your hard-earned dollars that you've worked so hard to save with these first 4 rules, and then it all goes away. So I just need you to be always thinking when you make an investment, am I going to be able to get my money back? Get ready. We're going to go through principles of financial fulfillment. If you've been with me for 12 months, I'm repeating some things here, but they're worth repeating. These are some of my core beliefs about money and life in general. The number one principle to financial fulfillment: spend money in a way that aligns with your values. Spend money in a way that aligns with your values. I've taught that for 25 years. What has been different about the way I have always taught money is that I believe it's values first and money second. When you are clear on what is most important to you, what are your values? And today if I were rewriting my books, I would say, and what are your principles? When you make financial decisions based on your values, based on your principles, your financial decisions will be easier. When you look at all the things in your life where you've gotten either stuck financially, you know there's all these things you should do. I gave you so much homework last year, like do this, do this, do this. And many of you have done it because I've gotten your emails and you've shared with me the work you've done. And some of you might have started and then you stop. This happens all the time when we start to grow. We grow and we stop, and we grow and we stop. If you're clear on your values while you're doing this work, you will follow through. Even if you get off track, you'll come back and you'll restart. If you're not clear on your values, it becomes very abstract. Like one of the things I always see financial experts talk about is the numbers of how you need to save $1 million for retirement. You need to save $2 million for retirement. You need $5 million for retirement. You need $10 million for retirement. The other day I watched somebody say, you need to have 25 times your annual income saved for retirement or you can't retire. And if you're 70 and you don't have 25 times your money, you can't retire. What? Like such generic, bad advice. Because there'll be over 10,000 of you that will watch this. Each and every one of you has different values, different drives, different fears, and how much money and different lifestyles. And you live in different areas, and your expenses are different, and your health is different. And all of that gets factored into how much money do you need. But I can tell you this, when you show me somebody who's spending money in a way that conflicts with their values, I will show you somebody who will struggle financially for the rest of their life. If you show me somebody who is spending money or investing money in a way that conflicts with their values, and I will show you somebody who doesn't have fulfillment. The fastest way to have fulfillment is to use the money that you work so hard to make to save it and invest in a way that helps you reach what's most important to you, your values and your principles. And that, my friends, I could stop right there because what I've just said to you is incredibly deep. And you could just now spend an hour and really take that in and think about it. I'm not going to have you do that because I've got more content to share with you today, but it's so deep. A good financial planner should be asking you about your values, should be talking to you about your family's principles. And the thing about values and principles is they change and they evolve. What's most important to you is going to be different at 60 than it was at 50. It's different at 50 than it was at 40. As we get older, as our lives change, as our health changes, as the people around us change, not only do our goals change, but sometimes our values change. So these are very important, deep, not woo-woo things to talk about. They're really meaningful. So that's number one. Spend money in a way that aligns with your values. All right. Number two, pay yourself first. All right, my friends, you've heard me talk about this repeatedly over the year. If you've read my books, see me on the Oprah shows, watch me on the Daily shows, see me on CNBC, I cover pay yourself first always. You will not have financial freedom or achieve financial fulfillment or reach your financial dreams if you don't pay yourself first. So for those of you who've never heard me speak, I'm going to quickly go over what it means to pay yourself first. I'm going to add a few things that some of you have not heard me say. All right. So what does it mean to pay yourself first? That means when you earn money, the first person who gets paid, who is it? Who is it? If I was here, who gets paid first? Let me see it. Let me see it in the comments. Who gets paid first when you earn money? Point yourself and say, you get paid first. Me, yes, me. Not the government. You don't pay taxes first. You pay yourself first. You don't pay the bank first. You pay yourself first. You don't pay credit cards first. You pay yourself first. You don't pay leases, mortgage, car payments, on and on and on. The first person who gets paid is you. It is, I've always taught it as a step. It hit me in end of December, like it's a principle. It is a principle belief system. It's not a habit, by the way, although I'm going to show you how it can be a habit. It is a principle. It is a core way of living your life. Hopefully, if you're doing it, this is the way you'll live your life forever. And if you're not, it's the way you'll live your life starting today. And it doesn't even matter. I'm going to tell you how much you should pay yourself first, but I will start by saying what matters is that you do it. So you need to pay yourself first a specific percentage of what you earn. And then the second thing is you need to do it automatically. The third, automatically, meaning that you're not going to budget because you don't have time to budget. You won't follow through with budgeting. It takes too long. You don't need a budget today. It's too simple today. Today, with all the financial technology, all the financial service companies all over the world on an app, in minutes, you can be saving money automatically. And just literally, there's no limit to investing today. You can invest $1 a day. It's so simple today to invest in a diversified portfolio of exchange traded mutual funds. You don't need to know what stock to buy. None of this is complicated. You could simply start with an index fund, but you've got to pay yourself first automatically. And the number I recommend has always been 1 hour a day of your income. Now that's for people who work and have jobs and they work from 9 to 5. 1 hour a day of your income comes out to be 12.5% of your gross income. What I would like to see all of you do, the strivers in this room, I want you to save 15% of your gross income off the top automatically from here on out for the rest of your life. That's your pay yourself first goal. Automatically for the rest of your life. And here's the fourth thing that I don't always say when it comes to pay yourself first. You got to pay yourself first automatically, 1 hour a day of your income. And you need to not time the market. It is time in the market. What that means is the stock, because you need to invest in stock market. Your money's got to be a combination of stocks and bonds and real estate. It needs to be diversified. But your money has to out-earn inflation. Now, inflation has been a very minor issue for the previous 25 years. People have talked about inflation always being 2% roughly. It hasn't been a big deal. I've always said that that's a complete myth, that inflation actually is much higher than that. Inflation has been higher than that for decades because the things that matter, healthcare, education, and housing costs have skyrocketed. So when you hear that inflation's been low, and now they talk about inflation as the highest it's ever been, and I think in 50 years as of the end of the week, it's sort of, in some ways, it's a little bit, it's not that it's meaningless, but it's not accurate. We've had inflation. All right, my 18-year-old son's about to go to college, and the cost for him to go to the average college in America is somewhere between $50,000 to $80,000 a year. It's so utterly insane what college costs today. When I went to college costs, I went to a private university. It was $6,000 a year. And it went up to the point that by my time I was a senior, which was still, it wasn't like I was a senior for 10 years here, right? It doubled. It was $12,000 by the end of the year. That school is $80,000 now. So healthcare costs, the things I'm talking about, since I wrote that article in 2006, the cost of houses have basically gone up 2 times. So you've got to be invested, paying yourself first you've got to have money in the stock market. You have to have money in real estate because those are the asset classes that go up where you're on the escalator to building wealth. What you can't do, my friends, and please hear me on this, is you can't time the market. When the markets go down and if you panic and you sell, you will consistently wipe yourself out financially. If you sold in March of, now we're going back 2 years when COVID hit and the market went down 32% and you panicked in that month where the market dropped that much in 9 days, where a lot of people did, a lot of smart people did. And they're going to wait for the market to go back up and then invest. The market went back up and invested and completely recovered in 100 days. And then it doubled from there. You can't time the market. No one has been able to time the market. I am telling you, professional investors can't time the market.
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.